So I guess we'll get started here. Like, what kind of made you search for Empath in the first place? What kind of brought you to the site in the first place?
Well, I was a part of an INFJ group, of a white group, pretty much majority white, and it was cool, but I wanted to talk with people who look like me.
Correct. Yeah.
So I typed in INFJ and black, and you came up.
That's awesome. So tell me about the the INFJ white group. Like, what's I don't know, how can I say it? Like, what did you not feel satisfied there, or what? How were the conversations there? Or what was lacking, or you know what I'm trying to say?
I guess it was kind of perfunctory. I don't know how to put. It was cool, but it wasn't. It wasn't as intimate as I thought it should be. But then again, you can't really connect to that many folk. So
yep.
That's I'm comfortable being around people who are like me. So, and I was wondering if because not a lot of us know about Myers-Briggs designations and personality. I know I'm going to use it when I open my office. I'm going to exclusively use that in another scale to see who's coming in working for me. That's a given because you got to know who working for you if they're, because I'm in school for therapy, and so I would surround myself with caretakers. I don't want any narcissists. I only want to be a slip up. So, and I know how narcissists present, but you can't hide it on that scale. That scale will find you out and identify you. So, I just thought it would be really cool to be around some other people who fit the description. And plus, somewhere in the back of my mind, I kind of want to date another INFJ. So,
obviously, yeah, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you this, because I mean, I'm not sure. Have you heard any of interviews that I've had in the past, or anything from my podcast that I put out recently?
Nope.
Okay. So I generally go pretty deep with people. We're empaths, and let me ask you, what is your PhD like in? What is it in regards to?
Marriage and family therapy. I'm a doctoral candidate, marriage and family therapy, Virginia Tech.
Gotcha. All right. So this will be right up your alley. Let me ask you personally, like, would you describe yourself as an empath?
Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you this. I've noticed recently. So I created this Facebook group about a year ago, and I didn't know anything. I've never really met another black empath, and to be honest, I've never met another empath besides myself ever. Right. So it's been an eye opener for me, and I've realized recently that a lot of us have had, if not traumatic childhoods, at least some traumatic events in our lives. So if you could tell me about your background, like a little bit, I mean, again, you can share as much as you want or not want to, but I'm just curious about your background, like where you're from, and maybe a little bit into your childhood, and any kind of traumas that you've had to overcome.
Yeah, sure. Both my parents were alcoholics. Mm-hmm. I'm an only child, so I had to grow up really fast, and I became my mom. The reason I got into caretaking because I was emotionally taking care of my mom, because she's going through a whole bunch of stuff with my dad at that time. So that need, that desire to want to comfort, that I'm pretty sure that's where it came from. Mm-hmm. For me. So it just, that led to me being a psych major for my undergraduate, and because I wanted to figure out my family, because my family mm-hmm. was trained right. Yeah. And that led to my master's in psychology. I wanted a deeper understanding, which led to, this thing that I'm in now, this marriage and family therapy track. And because now I understand it now. I want to help people who may have been facing something like that, especially adult children.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's real important. So I'm naturally intuitive, and it helps when you're a therapist to be intuitive because I can feel what people aren't saying to me.
No, I hear what you're saying. Let me ask you, how did you go about healing your own traumas, just being a child in that environment? Like, did you have therapy yourself, or how have you dealt with it?
I've had therapy myself, read quite a few books. I think the turning point was this. I used to watch. It used to be on TV. This guy named John Bradshaw, and Bradshaw used to be on TV, and it was this public PBS series. He was on for like 9 days, and I watched every episode, and it talked about adult children. It talked about shame. Talked about homecoming, and that series really touched my soul, and it probably spurred me into getting a master's and now into the PhD program for marriage and family therapy.
What exactly is you said adult child or adult children? What exactly is that? Describe that, please.
Adult child, you could be 55 years old and you act like a 13-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
You're physically you're an adult, but developmentally you got stuck probably around 12, 13, 14. So when I see especially a lot of old guys, dressing like they teenagers,
mm-hmm.
that's part of the description. Usually, sometimes, not all times, that they got developmentally stuck, and in the literature we call them adult children.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. I just recently had a episode that I've made up about that. It was an episode called the neglected inner child, and I kind of talked about kind of Black consciousness and how a lot of the people that are in the so-called Black conscious movement in New York and things that them themselves are still in their child emotional bodies dealing with certain hurts. And and I understand it, and it's not like I'm not trying to like say brag and be like, oh, look at me, I've healed or I'm better. It's more like it just needs to be acknowledged. It needs to be talked about, because if we don't talk about it, you know what I'm trying to say, that we can never, if we don't acknowledge it, then we can never heal from it. You know what I'm trying to say?
That is correct.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a big problem I find especially in the Black community. We've come from an ancestry of trauma, so we more than any people need to speak about this, and these terms need to be like household terms,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but most of us are in survival mode.
Yes, correct.
And when you're in survival mode, it stunts your creativity.
Mm-hmm.
It stunts your ability to grow because you're so focused on food and shelter,
mm-hmm.
and income.
Yeah, the whole Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So that's exactly what it is. And so when you can relax, when you've got enough money coming in, your bills are paid, you can relax, then you can start to be, curious and create other opportunities for yourself. But if it's a constant struggle, you're trying to keep a job, you're trying to keep a car, it's just, when you're going from one struggle to the next, it just stifles you. And if you have kids, it's going to stifle them as well. So
yeah. And go ahead.
A lot of us, especially Black people, we stay in our heads. I'm not coming out of my head. I'm not letting you in. You're a therapist. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, that's cool. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm straight.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing I always hear. And the people who say that are the worst ones.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to help the most. But you can't really help people if they stay in their head. You can't. So
I mean, how do you deal with that? Like, you just can't, or what do you? I mean, they're obviously there and they're in a session and they're paid somehow. So what do you do with that in that situation?
Well, normally what they'll do is they'll just stop coming.
Okay.
They'll stop, and if it's a spouse involved, she might beat them over the head and tell them to go and get some help. And it's up to me to kind of gently lift the lid on his head and let him know that it's okay. Because a lot of us live our lives around our shame.
Yeah.
Shame controls what I let you see about me. Shame controls what I see about myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially if I'm in my head, it's probably directly tied to my shame, and I don't want you to know that about me.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge in the Black community because we are a community of survivors. We're still surviving.
Mm-hmm.
And not thrive. If you're surviving, you can't thrive. It's hard to thrive when you're just constantly, your energy is all focused on surviving.
And you think that a lot of that survival mode started from childhood, you're saying, and traumas in their childhood?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at the family, mom, dad, brothers and sisters. So the children will take on various roles to try to keep mom and dad together. Mm-hmm. One child will be a superstar. One child will be a caretaker. One child will be rebellious. One child will be a scapegoat. One child will be a comedian. Try to lighten it up. Guys, lighten up.
Yeah.
One of those children, they become highly religious because mama cheated on daddy. And so what does the family need? The family needs some religion. Well, this one kid will become highly religious and he will bring some morality into that family. Mm-hmm. So all these kids are playing, no kid in that family constellation can possibly have their own reality. They're in an act. I'm the superstar of the family. I get the good grades. I'm the captain of the football team, baseball team. I'm on full scholarship to blankety blank school. Mm-hmm. My job in the family was to bring honor to the family. And when you talk to one of these kids, they'll say, family's excited. He's going to, I'm here in the South in North Carolina, and he got a scholarship, full ride to Duke or Carolina, or and when you ask that kid how he feels about it, he says, well, I'm cool with it. My family's real excited about it, but the kid could care less because that's his job. So it becomes really sad that this kid is in an act.
Yeah, he never gets to know himself. He's always trying to be what his family needs, as you were saying.
Right, and here's the caveat: when that kid goes into a love relationship, mm-hmm. all of that family stuff is going to come up and out and into that relationship. That's the only place they can discharge. Mm-hmm. In a love relationship. So, if I didn't reconcile it, if it's unexamined, unreconciled, then what I'm going to do is find a woman, who will let me play that superstar role. I won't be attracted to anything else. And I'll get with her and I'll continue to play my role. And at some point in time, she's going to go, hey, this ain't your family. I don't want to do that. And then the conflict is going to ensue and they'll wind up in my office.
Mm-hmm. Not here. I actually just spoke to a sister recently who, she's a physician and her husband was a physician, but financially they were doing, somewhat well for themselves, but he had an issue that he didn't deal with his mother dying abruptly when he was a child. And, I guess he was seeking the I don't know, he had issues with abandonment. I don't know, like it's like he was like using his wife to get the attention that he didn't get from his mother or something like that, and that mm-hmm. he kind of developed some narcissistic tendencies because of it. And it really kind of put a rift between his relationship with his wife. And I was just speaking to the sister and talking about basically in life, you really only have two things to do, is to know yourself and to know God through knowing yourself. And he didn't do that. You know what I'm trying to say? So therefore, he's coming into a relationship not as a fully developed, human being. So his cup is not running over with love. He doesn't have the love to give. So unfortunately, he's drawing from you as a fuel source of love. Right. And you have your own responsibility to know yourself, to know God. So It's like there's a conflict there, where you're taking steps to know yourself and to know God, and he's not doing that because he's using you as a source of love when he could be seeking that within inside of himself.
Right. And the problem is and that's a classic pattern. The problem there is he doesn't know how to love himself.
Yeah.
See, if I don't know how to love myself, I will absolutely hold you accountable for taking care of me. And because I'm going to hold you accountable for taking care of me, then I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, because when I get couples like that, then it's time. I gotta, I always ask, what's sibling order? I was firstborn, I was secondborn, I was thirdborn, I was last, I was the baby, I'm an only. So when I look at the sibling position, then it kind of starts to explain some stuff to me. So I get a couple in, and she's firstborn, and she had brothers and sisters that she had to take care of, and he's a firstborn, and he had brothers and sisters that he had to take care of. Well, when they get with each other, they're so used to bawling and shot calling that they don't know how to turn it off. They got internalized. So it's up to me to pull the curtain back and say, hey, that stuff that you did in your family with your brothers and sisters, you can't do with each other. It's not going to work. I didn't realize I was doing that. It's always funny to hear. It's like, wow, I didn't know I was doing that. So, yeah. So I just take them out of their sibling roles and chart a path to create a new relationship based on not on their family past, but on a new trajectory. Where do you see yourself? Let's create this based on, let's take the good attributes of our families and kind of meld them together and customize something that's just for us instead of repeating what we came from, which is a lot of couples do that.
Let me ask you this, because you come from a family with its own traumas, and its own neglects in terms of loving themselves. How did you, as a child, coming from that, learn to love your own self?
I had to learn to say no because I was a caretaker, and people who don't take care of themselves naturally are attracted to me. So I had to learn to say no. I had to learn to put myself first. I had to learn to draw boundaries. Boundaries let people know how you want to be treated. So when you bump up into one of my boundaries, I'm going to let you know. And then I establish reciprocity.
What's that?
If I do it for you, it better come back to me. I'm not going to keep doing for you and nothing comes back to me. That's lopsided. And so
you want equal exchange.
Yeah, you want, and especially initially. So you need a ride at the airport at 3:00 in the morning. Fine. I need to borrow $100. Fine. Hey, can you take me can you pick me up from the hospital? Fine. That kind of even exchange. As long as you manage that well, then everything else falls into place. The people who want to use you, when it comes their turn, they're not going to want to do it. And so you kind of sift all your fair weather friends out and find out what's left over, and what's left over are your real friends that you could have a meaningful relationship with.
I get you. How long did it take you to do that? How many relationships did you have to go through, in terms of girlfriends and, I'm not sure if wives, or how long did it take you to really reach that state of knowing this?
Probably in the doc program. As I was graduating from the master's program and going into the doc program, it kind of set in. And when I was in the doc program, as I'm in the doc program, then it kind of all gelled together in terms of, how I take care of myself. I got about 3 really good friends that I can do what I just said, lend me $100, or I can pick them up from the airport at 3:00 in the morning. I got 3 good friends like that. That the rate of exchange is beautiful. And even if it were to sway a little bit higher or a little bit lower, I have enough track record with them to know that that they're gonna pay me back, or the potential is there for them. They're not gonna abandon the relationship because you got all you can get. Now you're gonna leave. So
I hear what you're saying. Let me ask you this. Like, I'm assuming, and I've been taken advantage of, and I'm assuming you have as well. And as empaths, that seems like something that happens often. But do you ever feel like, have you ever felt like you've been in a relationship where you can just surrender? You know what I'm trying to say, and just and let your guard down, or do you or do you like what you know what I'm trying to say? Have you ever felt like you can just like be a child with somebody, in terms in love yet, or no?
yeah, no, because if you were to line up my exes, all of them are cookie cutters, and they were narcissists.
Hmm.
So it took me a minute to figure it out that okay, I attract of course I attract narcissistic women.
Yes.
Anytime people need to be healed, fixed, helped, or saved, they're gonna be drawn to.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, it's a pain in the butt. So so here's where I had to learn to say no, and not experience any guilt behind it either. So
No, I
and
get
once I
that.
figured it out, I'm like, hey, no, I can't. No, I'm sorry you feel that way, but no, and say no and mean it, and don't feel guilty or no shame behind it, because and every once in a while I'll try, I'll a new acquaintance, and then you see just how much that reciprocity to manage that out the gate. I'm telling you, because you can sift through a whole bunch of people really quickly. The ones who are going to stick around will be okay. The ones who are trying to use you or get something from you, once they can't get anything from you, they're ghosts. They leave, and
No,
that's fine.
I understand exactly what you're saying. My thing is like I do a lot of meditation, yeah. And in meditation, what I'll do is maybe you're familiar with the term in psychology. It's called exposure therapy.
Okay.
And so what I do is in my meditation, I basically put myself in a state of exposure therapy. So I would go back, if I were you, what I would do is I would go back into my relationships where I always feeling like, because it's good to have tools where you've developed principles to live by. You know what I'm trying to say? And it seems like you have those, and you've learned from the negative aspects of your relationships. But ideally, your life is going to be a reflection of what's going on internally with you. You know what I'm trying to say? So if you're feeling like you have to constantly, this is, I did A, and B is I'm waiting for B to happen. You know what I'm trying to say? Then it's like there's a certain aspect of romantic love that gets kind of clinicalized. You know what I'm trying to say? So what I would do is, through meditation, I would go back and I'm gonna put it, I would create for myself a place where I don't have to do that, or where a woman just intuitively knows my, what I've gone through and my pains and my good heart, and all those things that you said are not needed to be checked off. You know what I'm trying to say? Because the love comes naturally, and she has the proper love to give you. That's not I'll put it this way: her cup is running over. You know what I'm trying to say? Meaning she's not coming to use you as a fuel source. You know what I'm trying to say? And once that fear of that happening, because that fear, I as an empath, I know it because I've felt it too. I've experienced it too. Having a bit of resentment from dealing with like women that have used me. You know what I'm trying to say? Like I'm now having to heal from that myself, and like realize that if I hold on to it, you know what I'm trying to say, that I'm going to attract it in life, which is really just a dream that we're experiencing anyway. So it's like if you don't go via meditation and really become lucid in that dream, and learn how to become lucid in the dream, then you can run the risk of not really getting the full potential of love. You know what I'm trying to say?
I understand what you're saying perfectly.
Yeah. So do you meditate?
I've been to a few classes. I want to get into it. I'm probably going to, but right now I was in one class. It kind of dissolved.
It's
But
okay.
I'm so busy with school and work,
I
and
understand.
I'm trying to get out of this program alive. And
I hear you. I hear you. When you're done with that, brother, you got a resource. I mean, you got a resource in me. I would consider myself a master in that. You know what I'm trying to say? Really, because as an empath, it's one thing to be able to teach people to meditate, but I'm able to feel exactly what you need. You know what I'm trying to say? And the vibration you need, and be able to help transmute your pains and your anxiety, and be able to give it back to you, so you can have the stability energetically. You know what I'm trying to say? To feel comfortable in your own with your own, just human plight. You know what I'm trying to say? And we all have human plight. Again, if we wouldn't be on Earth if we didn't have a foe. You know what I'm trying to say? Or some kind of negative aspect to grow stronger from.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. That I'll certainly keep that in mind.
Absolutely. So, like, tell me about, like, okay, you're saying that you're doing you're a PhD candidate, yeah?
Yeah.
What exactly is that compared to a PhD? Whatever. I'm not sure that the term is something new to me. So, what exactly is that?
The candidate has already passed the competency exam to go to the next stage. It's like this is the last stage you go through to become an actual doctor. So the candidate means the only thing I have left is or AB. You may have heard of ABD, all but dissertation.
Okay.
So those people are doctoral candidates. So you're a candidate. So the only thing you have to do now is just write and defend your dissertation, and
Gotcha.
then you can get out of here and go save the world.
And go meditate and know yourself and know God too, yeah?
Yeah, that too. Yeah,
don't forget it. Don't forget about that, man. I'll tell you right now. For me, that's again, not just for me. It's for everybody. You only have two responsibilities while you're currently encompassed in this shell that you're calling a body. That you're calling, what was it? You call yourself Leo or Leonard?
Leonard. Yeah.
As long as you're calling yourself Leonard, right? You have two responsibilities: to know yourself and to know God. That's it. You know what I'm trying to say? Once you've done that, then you can take that love of God and you can best spread it to others. You know what I'm trying to say? But I say that because I speak to a lot of you're the first brother I spoke to, but I speak to a lot of women, a lot of sisters that that are doctors. You know what I'm trying to say? That are PhDs, and what I find is that they, through helping others, which is a beautiful thing, it's a gorgeous thing. Sometimes they neglect themselves. You know what I'm trying to say? And again, I have to kind of remind people that they only have two responsibilities while they're in these bodies: to know themselves and to know God. So I know for myself, like I've had to take 7 years out, with no, and it's not just me. This is a practice that's gone on for ages, where men go off, and just know themselves. They may, in the story of Christ, he would go off into the wilderness for 40 days, or what I'm trying to say, or whatever it is. But we all need time to be alone. I know right now you're in a situation where, you're having to, you got to do what you got to do to be able to, provide and grow your business and things like that, So I get that. But I just want to, just because I have your attention and out of love for you, I want to remind you to meditation. That's going to be crucial. That's going to be crucial to you in your path. Absolutely. And I deal currently with a lot of women that are in psychology, and I noticed that I've had to remind them to do that because for whatever reason, a lot of people, even that deal in the field of psychology, they can neglect that aspect of knowing themselves through that method, which is the most powerful method.
Okay. I will certainly keep that in mind.
Yeah,
I never had that kind of resource, so that's new to me. So
absolutely. And this is the great thing about this group is that there's so many resources. I'm trying to say healing is there's many different aspects to that. So some people are physicians, they're doctors, they can heal your body. Some people are psychologists, they can help draw out your emotions. Some people are here to heal your spirit and your soul. You know what I'm trying to say? that's kind of what I do. I'm trying to say I understand the to a degree, like the the psychological aspects of it, but I generally speak in terms of more metaphysics and occult understanding of it, and kind of try to tie it into to get people back to really going inward and learning how to take deep breaths and to heal their nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely,
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's important.
I'm trying to think here. I have some notes here about what I was going to ask you. So during this whole PhD candidacy, yeah, like you're an empath, you're an INFJ. A lot of times I know for me personally, I don't deal very well with stress and even the idea of I'm assuming they put you through a smorgasbord of things to do in terms of research and reading and discerning that information. Yes.
Oh yeah.
So as an empath, right? What I'm actually feeling your nervous system, right? And I'm feeling like the fact that you have to like, and I understand this, and I'm not blaming you. I understand, but like I can feel the level of thought that you're on. You know what I'm trying to say?
Okay.
And it's like, I know that it's a plateau that you when it's over with, you'll be glad to let it go. You know what I'm trying to say? Right?
I'm gonna crash on the couch for about 2 months, and I'm gonna watch old school cartoons.
Exactly. So I'm just saying, like I'm picking up an energy, and I get that. I'm just saying, okay, yeah, he's in it right now. He's in it to win it. I respect that. But I again, I feel the I just feel the energy of it. You know what I'm trying to say? And it's intense. So let me ask you, how do you like give me some methods of how you've dealt with that, because it maybe can help other people who are also empaths in a kind of situation where they're having to be in a very fast paced, intellectually stimulating, corporate environment, or just not, I would say corporate, but like, I'm going to put it, just like institutionalized environment,
Mm-hmm, sure. For me, it's always, I'm an avid tennis player. So that's how I decompress. I play with a group of guys, and we go out and we play pretty hard. So that has always allowed me to discharge, the energy from doing lit reviews and getting frustrated with reading this stuff and not understanding things. And so I like to go and physically, either the gym, I go to the gym, or I'll do something, physical, like play tennis.
That's good. I like to hear that. That's good. Was there ever a time when you didn't have those skills in while you're in school or something like that you kind of felt like you were being overbeared, and it was kind of you went into you feel like you wanted to implode, and you realized I needed to do something differently?
Not coming through coursework, because it was pretty laid out, and so I'm kind of organized. So at the beginning of the semester, I get 3 or 4 syllabus. I go in, I parse out all the assignments, dates due, and I start. What gave me the serotonin release was me taking my eraser and just scratching through the assignment as it was done. I could erase it, and then I would do the next one, and I erased that, and then the board got to be white. It's the whiteboard. Then I kind of celebrate, do my touchdown dance, and throw the eraser, and that's how I was doing it. So it was just in really intense focus. Not dating anyone right now, because very few women understand this path. If you've gone the route of getting a PhD, I may have to sequester myself. I gotta read 4 or 5 chapters of this, that, and the other, and I can't really hang out. And plus, I'm introverted, so I'm very comfortable in my skin by myself. Very comfortable.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that as men, because I'm an introverted man too, right? And then a lot of men are not introverted. I mean, you tell me if I'm wrong, but I would say that most women would expect a man to be, more outgoing and kind of approach them in terms of love and relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, as
Yeah.
as introverted men, I'm trying to say that puts us in a certain predicament. Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit easier online, but it's still, it's not easy, right? So how are you dealing with that? You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
It's interesting because right now, during this school track, nobody's on my plate. Nobody. I go
yeah.
out. I'll hang out with friends. This PhD process is so very intense. So right now, if I meet somebody, cool. But right now, it's
But
like,
before that though, before you were, doing the whole PhD process,
how would I deal with meeting women?
Yeah, as an introvert, that's an interesting topic. No.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because I'm shy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Class has, it's
Yeah.
not like as an undergrad, it's always been class. I try to conferences. Love going to conferences.
Mm-hmm.
It's a target-rich environment. Um,
So you try to meet women on your wavelength in the environment that you're comfortable with. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I go to there's a Black PhD conference. I think it's going to be in it's going to be in Charlotte this year, actually.
Okay.
So I've been attending that for the last 5 years. Met a lot of brilliant women who kind of understand the plight that I'm going through. Made a lot of friends, but my research paper is on narcissism, of course. So and not only can I diagnose it, I'm pretty good at seeing it when it's forming. So now as I'm talking to women, because narcissists like to present with a public face, and so I'm able to kind of peel that mask back and say, okay, who are you? And I can see it, and they'll wonder why, and they'll, because narcissistic women say everything right, do everything right, they, everything you want. It's like, and then once you drop your guard, then that's when they kind of swoop in and set up camp. So that doesn't happen much, but
how do you avoid that? How do you avoid that?
I can see it now. I can be in a conversation with a woman a good 5 to 10 minutes, and then I can tell.
Gotcha. But what you're saying is you had to go through it to understand it.
Oh, absolutely.
Gotcha. And I just wanted, that's a point I wanted to kind of bring out, because a lot of us as empath have narcissists, have these relationships, and it's something we have to go through in order to become intelligent. It's just part of it. You have to, in order to know love, you have to know pain.
Right. And again, as an empath, you're always going to attract somebody who needs to be healed, helped, fixed, or saved.
Mm-hmm.
They're always going to come to you. And see, people really don't know how to love themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so you take a woman who's gone through a lot of trauma, and you being an empath, me being an empath, they need to be healed.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, you're not like other guys, and I really like to get to know you. Da 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 da. I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. Tell me a little bit about yourself. See, now a narcissistic woman, it's hard for them to be emotionally naked in front of you. So when I start asking questions about, how'd you grow up, what was it like with your parents, what was it like with your mom, your dad, you got brothers, you got sisters. Why do you know all that? I'm just kind of curious, Well, I'm not really comfortable sharing all that. Oh, okay, well, that's cool. That's cool. So, so if she's living her life around her shame, it's going to come out in conversation.
Gotcha.
So, if you can't talk to me about, how you grew up or what was going on, and see, what I know from Black families is that there are tremendous secrets in Black families. Tremendous secrets in Black families, and I think I'm gonna do an article on it. Pretty sure could do an encyclopedia on it based on clients I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
So, you got people who operate around their shame, and they're not, and the tricky part is they'll dress the shame up. They'll put it in a really pretty package, hair, makeup, great body, all the, it looks great. Wow, really selling it. But when you look on the inside, there's damage, there's low self there's manipulation, there's, a whole bunch of stuff that's unreconciled, unexamined. And until she can get to that point where, you got to admit that you have a problem before you can start to do something about it. Mm-hmm. So I've walked away from some relationships that, it's like now I can see it coming.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like why, and somewhere in the back of my mind, I'd like to date another INFJ or maybe an ENFJ.
You're doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing. Trust me. Because I know as a man, I was like, you know what? I know as an empath, actually not as a man, but as an empath, I was like, I'm not going to get into a relationship unless I'm with another empath, period. I don't care. Because they just do not. There's no way that I could ever give like my love. There's no way I could ever have that reciprocated from a non-empath. It's not possible.
Yes.
It's not possible. So I stopped lying to myself. I stopped lying to myself, and I stopped tolerating me giving this love that was never reciprocated. You know what I'm trying to say? That's what it is.
Yeah.
We sometimes, you have to realize that you've tolerated not being loved long enough, and you're deserving to be loved.
Right.
And if I had to create a space for me to facilitate that, so be it. So I did it.
Yep.
Not just for myself, but for other brothers like yourself and other sisters too. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the thing is, we've got to separate the ones who care versus the ones who don't care. Because the ones who don't care can put on a facade like they care.
What do you mean by the ones? You mean in terms of women?
I think just people in general.
Gotcha.
Because we can't. It's like black people. We just can't seem to get it together. And so, in my mind, we just have to separate the ones who care from the ones who don't care.
As black people as a whole, you mean?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Because when you get around a bunch of people who actually care,
yeah,
then you can get some stuff done, and ain't no strife and jealousy and envy and
ego gets involved. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everybody wants to be the freaking chief, and nobody wants to get anything done or something like that. Yeah,
exactly. And therein lies the problem, because we are competitive with one another. Because and it's funny because I just read this article on racial codependency, and it kind of I had a paradigm shift because I never thought about. Because I've been in corporate America. I've worked in several white environments, and some black people will take on a particular behavior, code switching or sycophantic behavior.
Explain that.
Code switch, sounding like a news anchor. I know a guy. This guy, his name's Scott, and Scott would sound just like this. "Hello, Leonard. How are you doing?" I'm like, dude, really?
trying to show white people that he can speak in the way that they like to be, they like to hear, or something like that, or what?
Correct. It's called code switching.
Gotcha.
With me, it's a dialect. If I'm around right people, I'll use a certain dialect. Or if I'm around the guys that I'm playing tennis with, I'm not going to use that same dialect.
Mm-hmm.
So you actually have to switch. Some people can code switch. Some people can't switch back. So they talk that way all the time. And they talk that way all the time because if they present themselves as who they are terrified of rejection. So
that's their safe place, yeah?
For me, no, I don't. I've never engaged in that. But
I'm saying that for them, that's their safe place. Meaning they'd rather be safe in that way of that code or mode.
The mask. Right. It's the mask.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And that's a problem.
But they forget that. They forget that's a mask, and that becomes them. Is what you're saying, yeah?
Exactly. They become the mask, and then when they come home, the mask doesn't come off. That's where it starts.
Gotcha.
So
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it. Absolutely.
Yeah, but a lot of us do it. It's a survival thing. And again, and when the author coined the phrase racially codependent, I'm like, wow. I never thought about why people act that way. They act that way because they want to be accepted. It's about being accepted and validated, and and you're making money, and you're not like the rest of them. You hear this thing, white people like to, throw this thing around. You're not like the rest of them.
Oh yeah, and they play into it too. They can see it too. They can see it too.
Well, I mean, and that's the problem, because black folks have a very narcissist. No, we have a white. Black people have a codependent relationship with whites. Whites have a narcissistic relationship with blacks.
Correct.
And so, and until not a lot of us are awakened to that fact, because as you start to stand up for yourself and you start to advocate for others, it doesn't play into their fantasy of you. Because white people should be able to tell you what to do, when to do it, how to do it. We've been telling you this stuff for 600 years. Even white people who ain't even got no stature, the poorest of poor white people think they can do it too.
Correct.
And therein lies the problem. They get punched out or something. But
I hear, and I understand it's programming. It's generational. It's to the point where it's now in there. It's programmed into their subconscious minds.
Yeah, I even think it's in the level of the DNA.
I would agree too. But I'm just trying to be nice.
Yeah, don't be. You real with me. I'm very familiar with because I'm trying to crack the code.
Yeah. And what it is epigenetics. You've heard of that?
Oh yeah. Of course.
So eventually, they've developed a superiority complex in their genetics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Essentially, what it is.
And see, it's a falsehood. And white is recessive, and white people are dying. And at some point in time, 200 years from now, there ain't gonna be no traces of them.
Yeah, but psychologically speaking, though, what it is they're again, like you said it about the family structure earlier. They're having to overcompensate, right, for being the weakest of the human family. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
There you go. That's all. It's just it's overcompensation. That's all. And it's no different than the guy with a small penis buying a big car. It's not that complex.
Right. Same thing.
And you just see it for what it is, and it should be funny. That's pretty much it. As long as you're in control of your own reality as a black man or a black woman, then you could just laugh at it and realize that you don't got to work for his ass, and you can create do for yourself. That's pretty much it.
The problem comes with these white cops.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the problem comes in. The prize at the end of the lynching was to cut off black man's penis.
Of course.
The penis represents his annihilation.
And his superiority over you.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So you get these cops who, barely finished high school. I think you should have a college degree to tote a gun. I agree.
I think psychologists should be police.
Yeah,
go ahead. Yeah,
because here in North Carolina, state troopers have to have a 4-year degree, and you don't hear all that drama with state troopers.
Yeah,
it's the beat cops, it's the city cops who and if you can pass a physical, and you made it out of high school and you don't have a criminal record, you can become a cop just like that. And they think that they can train them. They haven't even been socialized. You haven't even gone to college.
They don't want to socialize them. Are you kidding me? Come on now. They serve a purpose. They're the grunts to keep this white supremacist thing going. They need to keep us. Yes. They need to keep us fear based. They can't do that with intelligent people. That's not possible. Enlightened people. Come on now.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
So So that's why I stay in the house. So.
Oh man.
Right here, I got internet. I got.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
Food, I got books. I ain't gotta go nowhere.
No, I hear you. But for me, because I've in my younger days I was more of a revolutionary, and I've already dealt with the cops, and I'm not afraid of them. Like I don't have it. Like you have like if I didn't go through that process where I've already got my ass beat by them, and been thrown in jail and things like that, and have dealt with it, the whole system. I could seeing all these shootings and things like that. I probably could find myself in a bubble of fear as well as a black man, and it's easy to. And I kind of sensing the overall atmosphere of black people right now, especially black men, as we are the main targets. It's a lot of anxiety.
Oh, it's tremendous anxiety.
Yeah, but at the same time, it gives us that also gives us the opportunity to go in and deal with that anxiety. You know what I'm trying to say? Because that anxiety wasn't created during the last couple years. It's been created since we've been getting our ass whipped in this white supremacist society since slavery. So we have to, the way as a metaphysician I look at life itself as a dream. So it's like we have to. It's like a dream. If you have a reoccurring dream. And you don't deal with it, it's going to be a nightmare. You know what I'm trying to say? You know what I'm trying to say? So, it's like, if it keeps happening, what it is, if life's a dream and these things keep happening, that means we haven't dealt with it. So we need to deal with it. We need to, as Black people, we need to be able to face our oppressor. You know what I'm trying to say? If only in our minds. If the universe is mental, then we need to do it in our minds as Black men. You know what I'm trying to say? I've done it physically, and I've done it in my mind too, but I've done it physically. But it's something we all have to deal with, because you're right. You're absolutely correct. There are these uneducated, overcompensating white supremacist cops that are running rampant right now and doing all kinds of things, and with a license to kill.
With a license to kill, that is correct. Mm-hmm. So, it has prompted me to think. I'm like, I was thinking about, again, Lenny, get your degree, head to Ghana. It seems like a lot of folks are heading to Ghana. Let's go over there and be saturated in blackness and see what it's like. So
I hear what you're saying.
I am planning that trip to go and see what that's like. And if I like it, I'll stay. So
I hear saying, I don't know. I hear saying, I don't know. At the same time, I don't know. I can't I understand it. You know what I'm trying to say? But at the same time, I don't know. I mean, this is your life, but I'm just saying, me personally, I'm not going to be subject to these. I'm not going to be subject to these fools. I don't give a damn. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
That's my thing. That's my thing. I got the DNA of God inside me. So, God doesn't run from anything. You know what I'm trying to say? So no.
And I do know that, but my prediction is right now we are at the precipice of a civil war, and this civil war is going to be between the good white people and the bad white people. And the only thing we have to do is just sit back and watch. Because it keeps mounting, it keeps increasing. You're going to see the good white people versus the bad ones. So just sit back and watch. But my thing is, as Trump is antagonizing Russia and antagonizing China, antagonizing North Korea, these guys got nuclear. And see, my thing was when these white boys started fighting, I wanted to be a continent away, because it could happen at any second. I really.
I hear you, brother. And what you're saying is a fear that I'm sure many people have right now. At the same time, for me personally, through meditation, I've developed a certain faith. You know what I'm trying to say? And it's not something I can convey in a conversation, but I'll say that I realize that who I am is finite. You know what I'm trying to say? People are born and they die. And they have been for thousands upon, if not millions of years. So the only thing real is the soul. You know what I'm trying to say? And so ultimately, the universe had a beginning. Therefore, the universe will also have an end. So the only thing real is your soul. So that's the only thing I'm cultivating is my soul, and I can't do that if I don't face my fears in this illusion. So there's nothing really to run from other than your own fear. You know what I'm trying to say? And that's why meditation is so important. I know right now you're in a situation where maybe you feel as if you can't do that. I would disagree. I would say as long as you're breathing, you can breathe slowly and with intention. No.
Sure.
Exactly.
Sure.
So I think we, especially as Black men, our nervous system, especially in this climate of fear, needs to be worked on. You know what I'm trying to say? We need to overcome that. Again, if life is a dream, and these things keep occurring, the policeman is no different than the Klanman, and the gun is you know what I'm trying to say? The gun is the new whip. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. So,
yeah. So we need to. It's what it's doing is it's triggering something within our nervous system. Within the dream. So we have the power within inside of our minds, right, to still be creators in this dream. And so, me personally, I'd rather stay and fight. But that's just me. Nat Turner could have ran off. You know what I'm trying to say, and he would have been another runaway slave, but he decided to fight. And guess what? All the runaway slaves, you don't know their names, you know his. So it depends on what you want to be. Depends on what you want to be. You want to be a legend, or you want to be not remembered.
I feel you. but I can't fight no nuclear warhead. See, that's my
I
thing.
I hear what you're saying, but
Hey, telling you.
again, I mean, you know, you need to watch, you need to listen to some of my podcasts sometimes. The way I think and where my mind's at and where my soul's at is beyond most people's, you know, most people's understanding. So I feel that I have the seed of God within me. Therefore, all the potential of God is still within me. You know what I'm trying to say? So,
Sure.
like, there's a certain element of thinking beyond the physical that I've learned to cultivate. But again, I'm doing that talking now after meditating for over 7 years and no
Wow.
girlfriend, no sex, no relationships really outside of myself for the most part. So
Sure.
I'm becoming something, a new form of human that most people are not at that level yet. You know what I'm trying to say? So,
Oh, yeah.
so I mean,
Yeah.
I'm glad that you joined the group, and you're a blessing to talk to, and you're a wealth of information, and I hope that we'll speak more. We're almost hitting an hour mark here, so I want to kind of wrap up a little bit. Was there any kind of thing that you wanted to close with, or anything like that?
No, if you're doing group talks or topics, if it's in my wheelhouse, hey, I could talk about it. So yeah, any broadcast or kind of get out there and and help people understand their relationships and understand themselves, and I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, I would love to actually have you on for an episode speaking about especially narcissism and how it affects both men and women differently as from your perspective as a psychologist. Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. Beautiful, brother. But it's been a pleasure, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Okay. All right. You take care.
All right. Peace.